Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Let's continue new chapter, chapter 4. Chapter 4 is about the comfort and health and indoor environment quality. Basically, this chapter will cover two aspects. One is the thermal aspect, and the first one is the thermal aspect, whereas the second one is the environmental quality, the indoor environmental quality. Right, so let's start from the definition. What do you think? What is the meaning of the human comfort? Who's going to define human comfort? So what do you feel about the human comfort? Anyone? No idea about human comfort?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So basically, there are a few conditions. For example, 50% relative humidity, there is a specific temperature, and
Hmm.
if so, basically, it's a condition of air at which humans feel more comfortable and
Mm-hmm.
at ease.
Okay. We can define human comfort. Basically, this is a condition of mind, as you can see, uh, uh, which expresses satisfaction with the thermal environment and indoor air quality. So, to have the human comfort, there should be a comfortable thermal environment as well as the good quality of the indoor air. Right? So, these two aspects, the comfortable thermal environment and a good quality indoor air, that will give you a human comfort, right? And the second point in human comfort is not everyone can be made completely comfortable by one set of condition. For example, let's say we are Pakistani, and let's say if we go to some other country, let's assume I had the chance of going to South Korea. So there I feel when the temperature was very close to 30 degrees C, let's say 29 degree or 30 degree, the people, local people, they were saying that the weather is too hot. But for me, the weather was not too hot because in Pakistan, I mean, even we have the temperature of 45 degrees, sometimes 50 degrees C. So that's why you cannot, I mean, categorically say that the one set of the comfortable temperature is the same for the second person also, right? But there is a clear understanding of what is involved in providing the comfort to most of the occupants in a controlled space, right? So this definition or this understanding has already been developed, that what is the meaning of the comfort and what are the requirements for producing the comfortable environment. Then the next question comes in our mind, that why should we care about the comfort? I mean, obviously, the first of all, why we need to care about the comfort? The comfort is related to the health and well-being of the human being, right? I mean, many thermal condition, they if can cause the health problem. If I mean, if the temperature is not maintained, or if the humidity is not maintained, then you may feel some health issues, right? The other advantage is that if you are working in an office and your environment is thermally comfortable, then the performance, your work performance will be much better. That even if you are taking a leisure, then I mean you can enjoy a lot, right? So that means it give you a perception of improved in the quality of life. That's why the thermal comfort is very important in our life. Then, what are the factors that affect the human comfort? Mainly, we can categorize the two factor. One is the environmental factor, and the second one is non-environmental factor. In environmental factor, for thermal comfort, you have to control the temperature, the humidity, air motion, right? The radiant sources interacting with the occupants, right? Some odor, contaminants, noise, and vibration. And in non-environmental factors, you need to control the dress. I mean, dress is like it is acting like an insulation. For example, during the winter, if the insulation is not proper, you may feel cold after some time. I mean, all of your energy that is generated because of the metabolic rate, that energy can be lost to the environment. So there should be a proper insulation to control the temperature of your body. Similarly, the activity level of the occupant is also important for the human comfort. I mean, for the same condition, I mean, the amount of heat released during one activity will be different compared to the other activity. Right? For example, if you are sitting, the amount of heat released during the sitting is entirely different compared to the exercise when you're doing in the gym. Uh, Now, to understand the heat balance of a human being, you know that the temperature of the human being is constant, and a healthy human being has a temperature of about 36.9 degrees C. Right. So you know that, I mean, human being has to maintain the constant temperature. If the constant is if the temperature is more than that, then the human being will suffer the fever, and even if it is low, that's also not good. Right. So that means a human being has to maintain a constant temperature, and there are conditions that if the heat balance is same. I mean, heat balance means same. The amount of heat that is releasing from the body is equal to the heat that is coming from the environment. When that is balanced, then the human being will feel comfortable. I mean, if we look at that, the heat from the human body is coming through the metabolic rate. I mean, the human being intake through the food, right? And food basically, that's basically through a chemical reaction inside the stomach, is converted into the thermal energy. Right? That thermal energy is basically is balance. I mean, that thermal energy is continuously releasing from the human body, right? And that could be the different reason. I mean, different way. For example, if we look at the heat balance of the human being, the energy generated as a result of the metabolic rate, one part of the energy will be used for the mechanical work done by the human body, and then maybe some of the energy that can be utilized for evaporation, and that evaporation may be as a result of the sweating, or it can be as a result of the breathing, because during breathing some of the energy goes out from the mouth, right? And similarly, there could be the heat exchange on the skin, and because the blood is flowing into the vein, so the surface temperature, as a result of the convection on the surface of the human body, the heat can be released. So if that energy is not balanced, basically S is the rate of the heat storage of human body. I mean, if that metabolic rate, the food you eat, right? If the, that is not utilized in the terms of, I mean, that is not released in the form of doing some exertion, or the evaporation through the breathing, or through the convection from the skin, then there are chances that the energy will be stored in your body in the form of maybe fat or some other mean. Right? So this is called the heat balance for the human being. Now, in order to have the comfortable environment for a human being, then this balance should be equal to zero. When whatever you eat, that should be balanced with the amount of the heat released. Now, let's discuss each of the term. For example, the first term is metabolic rate. What is the metabolic rate? Metabolic rate is basically a unit to express the metabolic rate per unit of the body surface area. So that's called MET. So MET is a unit that is represented that represents the metabolic rate, and we can define it as the metabolic rate of a sedentary person, I mean, which is seated and quiet, that 1 MET is equal to 18.4 BTU per hour feet square. In other words, the amount of the heat of 58.2 watt per meter square of the surface area of the human body. Then we can say the metabolic rate is equal to 1 MET. Right. So the meaning of 1 MET is that when a sedentary person which is seated and quiet, if that releases heat of 58.2 watt for surface area of 1 meter square, then we'll say that the metabolic rate is equal to 1 MET. Right, and the metabolic heat generation rates, typically it varies for different activities, and that amount of metabolic rate is given in the ASHRAE handbook fundamentals volume 1, and I have copied from there. As you can see, with the different activities, the amount of the metabolic rate is different and the amount of the heat released by the body is different. As you can see, if you are seated at a theater, so the ASHRAE says the healthy human being will release a heat of 140 watt. Right? Let's say if you are you are athletes and you are working in a gymnasium, then the amount of heat release is the maximum one, and that value is about 2000 BTU per hour, or 586 watt. And then the other non-environmental factor is the type and the amount of clothing, because the clothing is an insulation and our human body is continuously releasing heat. If the insulation is high, that means you have controlled the radiation
क्या सीन है यार, कोई 10 से 15 मिनट हो गए सर, है नहीं।
हेलो हेलो
यस सर।
Yes, sir.
I think there was a breakdown. You were listening a lecture?
नो सर, वी वर नॉट लिसनिंग यू। एक्चुअली हमें लगा कि आप अवेलेबल नहीं थे क्लास के अंदर कोई 10 से 15 मिनट सर।
तो आपने लेक्चर नहीं सुना हुआ अभी तक जितना मैंने पीछे बोला है?
सर मीटिंग में आप थे नहीं।
सर आप अभी मीटिंग में